How's it going, everyone, and welcome to a fishing-filled episode of No Excuses on VGWProductions.com and YouTube.com. Your favorite show hosts are still
Fenurian.
And Volatile, and we're here to bring you the latest news and commentary on video games in the week, such as it was, to the extent that we can find any.
Stuff happened.
But,
sort of.
yeah, stuff did happen, sort of, but most of it was not great, as usual. Like, it's pretty rare that we have good news. Good news would be nice.
It would
It's
be.
sort of strange to have Capcom be the supplier of it, but yeah, I'll take what we can get. First of all, if you'd like to get involved with the show, you can do so by sending us email at noexcusesvtw@gmail.com, or you can follow us on the Twitter at noexcusesvtw, or you can join us in our Discord channel, where you can interact with the show in real time, maybe even watch what the other show hosts are playing if we happen to be streaming, since there's the functionality I just started tinkering with before we started the show.
5 minutes before we were due to start, by the way.
Well, I always choose the last minute for the most derailing things. You should have picked up on this by now.
Yeah, and yet we continuously fail to plan for it.
Mm-hmm. And you can most easily get to our Discord by going to the link in the show description underneath this video, or alternatively, you can go to vtwproductions.com and click the No Excuses logo on any of our recent show posts, which would also take you directly to our Discord server.
All right. On the oldie stream today, I'm playing a bit of Elite Dangerous. And by playing it, it means just flying around and basically being a space truck.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, you can play Elite Dangerous. You can go out and be a pirate if you want. I couldn't be bothered. You can go out and find the aliens. I honestly couldn't be bothered because they're way too far out. Or you can just fly around small circles and ship goods and passengers and make piles of money. So that's what I'm going to do. As for my week, it's been a kind of an all over the place week, this one. A good chunk of my gaming was Monster Hunter Iceborne, as it has been for everyone, I suppose. I've got to hit a stumbling block. I cannot get through Brachydios at the moment.
He's a pain in the butt.
He is a right pain in the butt.
So, does he use conventional blast?
Yes.
Or does he have his own special one?
He has both.
He has both.
He has Blast Blight that you can resist and all that. But his problem is every single piece of the environment he uses his boxing gloves to punch becomes contaminated by his boxing gloves and will explode after a set time. So wherever you're fighting him, the whole area is going to explode in different increments everywhere.
Yeah. And more the point, if you touch any point of that booger, even if you're out of the explosion radius when it goes off, you'll have Blast Blight.
Yeah.
And he is
delicious.
Not shy about spreading boogers all over the place. I went into the fight and I was pretty much expecting that, though. What I wasn't expecting is just how fast he is.
And he's in the hot area of Eldritch Recess.
Sometimes, yeah. So you can very easily get stuck in a corner and he will just coat you in boogers. And turns out you can't block your his headbutt with a shield unless you're in exactly the right spot. Because otherwise he'll headbutt you, he'll also drop a booger at your feet which will explode, which also happens to be behind you. So even if you block the actual headbutt, you'll still get hit by the explosion.
Now, you do have a grace period before the boogers start glowing to activate and become landmines effectively.
Yeah. You can keep an eye on the color to see how explosive they are.
I killed him my first try through, but I cannot tell you what that grace period is.
Yeah, it
and
seems
exactly
to be
when those things are active, because it's not based on the color.
No, the color fades from green through to red and then explodes on its own. Yeah, the race it does that seems to be a bit, just whatever.
Dependent on whatever he feels like at the moment. It might have something to do with his rage or something, but yeah, he's Booger Man. Break at least one of his claws and or his boxing gloves, and the boogers they greatly decrease in quantity, and you can actually move around the arena.
Yeah. But that's easier said than done with a gun lance.
Use that clutch claw.
Gotta use the clutch claw. I've tried the clutch claw, but inevitably I end up stuck to his face, and then I just explode.
Yeah, you gotta. I had to use it to weaken a hand, and then beat the crap out of it. And I would just keep latching on over and over again, and that seemed to be the best strat until one finally broke.
Yeah.
When I was beating on him after he fell down, when like I forget who showed up. I think it was like Azure Rathalos or something showed up to kick his butt.
Yeah, Azure Rathalos is hanging around, which means you got to take your dung bombs.
Oh no, you let him fight. You let them beat each other up, because then you get free hits on his boxing gloves.
Oh yeah, you do that, but sooner or later Azure Rathalos gets bored of that and decides he's just going to take a bite out of the hunter.
That's great, but those bombs are going to be all over the place, and he's going to step on a booger for you.
Yeah.
Azure Rathalos is your bro in this fight. That's how
Does he know that?
No, he doesn't.
He does not know he is filling the role that Tsuchiyaku normally fills willingly.
I'd be all on board for that if he would actually act like a bro, but he doesn't. Like, he'll take out a few boogers, he'll drive Brachydios off, and then he'll try and eat me.
Yeah, my experience with Azure Rathalos would not be readily described by the term bro. Usually what he does is he will come into a battle, he will float up into the air and then pelt me with fireballs until I cut. That's what happens. He doesn't come onto the ground ever.
In this fight, I suppose it depends on where you fight and run into Azure Rathalos, but if you run into him in a good spot that's covered in boogers, he's not going to like Brachydios very much.
Oh yeah, you can let him clean up the boogers for you.
Yeah, so when he showed up, I was like surrounded by boogers, and here comes Azure Rathalos to save the day.
Yeah, but I've also had that, and he comes in, and it's just like everything is now suddenly made of fire and explosions.
Yeah, from about the Brachydios point too is when monsters start getting. We go from master rank, really, these guys got a lot of health, man, to, oh, good gravy, how long have I been beating on this thing?
Yeah. Glavenus kind of straddles the line of that, but he does eventually just fall over on his own. He is a very angry boy while he's at it, though. I'm actually disappointed there is no Glavenus gun lance. Interdiction.
Yeah, it seems like it would be an almost ideal fit, really, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sort of surprised to hear you say that.
Yeah, there is a Glavenus greatsword, which essentially is just you stick his tail on
His tail. His tail is on a stick.
Oh dear, I think I might have a problem here.
Uh-oh. It's a stream problem or a game problem?
Game problem. I've got passengers and now I've got pirates.
Yeah. Speaking of Swordy Boy, what'd you think of him, Fern?
I really liked his fight. He hasn't changed too much from what he was in Generations Ultimate. He's maybe a bit more aggressive. That's saying something, actually. But
I get the feeling that additional aggression is sort of like pretty standard for transitions to World.
Yeah.
Like, in exchange for the fact that the game is generally more forgiving, the monsters just hate you more.
On the other hand, though, you've got more to use to bring them down. Like, you've got the arena, you've got your clutch claw now, and all sorts of other good stuff like that.
Yeah, I've heard actually a lot of complaints about World relative to the rest of the franchise from like long-term fans, but it seems to me like the bulk of the complaints are not really centered around anything that World has done wrong per se, so much as people have a crappy mentality towards it.
Yeah.
Like, there are lots of people who are deeply, deeply disapproving of the existence of damage numbers because they feel it's made the community obsess over them.
Yeah, but that's going to happen no matter when you put numbers in.
But I mean, the thing is that they previously didn't have any numbers at all.
No, people would
It was
still
just
obsess over the damage, though.
Yeah, but have you seen these weird, like, the strange speedrun community that's grown up around World?
Oh, yeah.
It's one of those communities that you take one look at and you're like, holy cow, I'm glad I'm not involved in that crap.
Yeah. Just, I couldn't I just couldn't.
Also, I can also sympathize with the whole, oh well, it's scout flies are easy mode type of thing.
Yeah.
There's no paintballing the monster or anything like that anymore.
I'm going to say something that a lot of people really don't like. Paintballs were bollocks. You'd have to find the monster first, which inevitably could mean 10 to 15 minutes of just wandering around trying to find where the thing is. If you take too long, it's going to move. You get it paintballed during the fight, and then inevitably that will fall off if you don't kill it quick enough. So you have to do it again.
I can't wait to read some comments around when Iceborne's come out and people are first getting their hands on it to see the comments on the mount system.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is basically go straight to the monster while you prepare.
Yes.
I think that it's actually like it's Zogum casuals on one hand, but on the other hand, like I've seen Wildspire Wastes back to front 5 bajillion times now.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily want to cross that same patch of sand for the 5 bajillion plus 1th time.
Yeah.
Like,
And also,
I'm perfectly okay with with having something take me to the monster so I can get my fight on.
yes. And are you going to argue I'm riding a badger ferret? I mean, really. So, yeah, there's always going to be that elitist community of the old guard who just refuse to acknowledge anything new because it's different.
Well,
or bad.
the thing is that I don't think that they're 100% wrong about everything either.
No,
like-
they've always got a bit of merit to them.
I think that they do have the rose-tinted spectacles on a bit much. And you see, the thing is that they complain constantly and none of them ever actually stop playing.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, you're going to get that. You get it in MMOs all the time as well.
Yeah, but that's another one of their complaints, right? Like they say that the game is too MMO-esque now.
Yeah, it's really not though. It's just Monster Hunter without the additional faff.
It falls in that same bucket as Borderlands for me. That game I'll occasionally play with my friends, but I do not give a crap what everybody else is doing.
Yeah, the idea that you would care about what the community was doing in Monster Hunter was actually a surprise to me. I didn't even know anybody did until it was brought up online.
Yeah.
Because I play it in a completely insular fashion. Like, it is a game for me to play with Ari and Fern, and it doesn't actually have another purpose to me. If either I'm playing it by myself with those two, or I'm not playing it at all. I don't respond to SOS flares. I don't group with randoms. I don't even understand why you would want to. I don't trust those random idiots. Half the time they come in to the expedition and they just don't show up, or they get in my way, or they swap me into a river, or something like that. Like, I don't want those people around. Why would I want those people around?
Admittedly, we do
What
that
are they
as
good
well,
for?
but it's all in good fun.
Yeah, but we do it deliberately, and you can get away with that stuff when you're doing it to your friends.
Yes, not to random strangers though. Doesn't work that way.
Like, I don't know you like that, bro. Can't
Yeah.
just throw me in the river. Can't life grip me in the river while the Galvanist is chasing me with a fire tail.
It's always something satisfying about swatting a friend into the air and them getting a mount off it, though. All right.
It's been interesting. So, what other monsters have you killed, Fern? Since we're on the Monster Hunter kick, and that's most of our weeks.
All right. I killed the Venice, so that happened, and yeah, disappointed by his loot drops. Haven't actually looked at his armor set though. I know it looks cool, but I haven't looked at the stats. I did, however, deck my Palico out in his gear.
What does it make Palico look like?
He's just kind of wearing Glavenus armor. It's nothing particularly special. I did unlock an armor set somewhere along the line, which turns it into some strange UFO out of a Kirby game by the look of it.
I gave Edgeworth a sword that's the highest rarity I could give him. That was like poison or paralysis, and then just kept him in his cravats because his name's Edgeworth.
Yep.
He needs to wear the cravat suit.
Of course. You got to have the cravat.
And it honestly doesn't seem to matter. Edgeworth almost never dies in a fight unless he's literally standing in something the monster left around.
Mine does that all the time.
Mine has this annoying habit of running up to me when I'm in dire need of healing and then healing himself.
That's why I give mine the buff horn or the looter ring instead.
Yeah, I use the buff horn because I just don't want to think about what my Palico's doing. It's very rarely constructive in any way.
You just get buffs every now and again.
I hate that I have to use the looter ring right now.
I know I should switch back to it, but I've gotten used to being buffed, so...
I have to keep full stun resist on my gear at all times. Because I play really dangerously with my dual blades and wind up getting stunned a lot if I don't have it. And the Palico normally handles that. Yeah, the Palico normally handles that for me. Normally he's like, I got you. Here's a resist stun aura that lasts for like 4 minutes. I'm like, thanks, bro. Go back to prosecuting for a minute. Let me beat up the boss.
Good kitty.
No, now he has decided that, oh, here's a bunch of crap I'm going to drop on the ground that you got to interrupt what you're doing to go pick up because you don't have any of it in stock, and you're going to need it to build everything.
Yeah. I have to say the new ability for the healing, though, where you get a free cart is very nice for learning fights.
What's the gadget cap level cap now? 15?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah. And you gotta... I haven't got the new piece of equipment yet.
Okay.
But,
yeah, I haven't got that yet either. I think I've got the quest to do it, to get it. I have no idea what it is, though.
You have to go out and fight a monster in front of the green-horned, like, fuzzy, furry... Or, what's the... Furby things.
Yeah, the new Linian.
Yeah. And they'll take you to that leader, and he'll give you...
I found the Palico gong is a bit feast or famine. Like, I'm either, yes, that was perfect, or no, why are you using your little jaggies?
Yeah.
Oh, with the buff thing, yeah, he doesn't.
Yeah, nobody uses the Palico bomb, so I'm not sure how that works out. Or the shield.
Oh, the Palico bong is a totally different item that isn't in the game yet.
Oh dear.
No, we didn't need that joke.
No.
That was incredibly lowbrow, Aristeele.
I've had to deal with the opossum all week. Can you blame me?
Your sense of humor is just shot. So yeah, I know what whether the I forget what it's actually called because I don't even use it that often. But the Palico kind of drops a fireworks launcher on the ground and just creates this area of havoc.
Oh, that Molotov thingy.
Yeah, that's it. The Meowlotov.
The Pokemon builds use it, but I don't think anybody uses it for other regular builds.
Yeah. So the shield, I haven't even leveled the shield up to 1 point yet. I probably should actually use the shield occasionally and just draw the monster away from myself. And I'm considering building a hunting horn build, so I might actually do it for that.
I'm not sure that I've ever even equipped that.
Yeah, I haven't.
I might have equipped it for a couple investigations if I noticed it and remembered I wanted to level it up and then forgot about it.
Yeah, that's
or I might not have. I don't actually remember ever using it.
But if you're doing investigations, you're better off with the Looterang.
Well, yeah. Well, depends.
Yeah. What does the Looterang do that's new, by the way?
They will jump onto the monster like they have a clutch claw, and they'll beat a whole lot of vendor gold zenny materials out of the monster 4 at a time.
Okay.
And they'll do this once or twice a fight, and that's really cool, but I hate it.
Because you now have to go and collect it.
And there's 4 of them on the ground, and I gotta put my swords away. Like, hang on, Edgeworth, I gotta go get our paycheck for this.
Silly kitty, spraying money all over the place.
I wish I had a cat that gave me free money.
I wish I did too, but my cat just gives me bite marks. Ugh.
My cat doesn't exist. It's a dog.
Your cat is a dog. That's alright. My pig is a lava lizard.
No. What you call it? So the other monsters, have you fought Barioth yet?
I have fought Barioth, and I didn't find it all that hard. It's a very quick fight, but once you figure out how it moves, you've more or less just stay in one spot and wait for it to come to you.
Yeah, he's been my favorite fight so far in Iceborne.
Apparently his AI is a little bit buggy, and that there are times where he will just run in circles.
Yeah, that happens occasionally. He'll just derp out in a corner sometimes.
But yeah, there's nothing really special about Barioth. I just like fighting him.
It's just a cool fight, yeah. You've got Tigrex, who is basically Barioth, but very, very, extremely angry.
Yeah, and will hop at you 3 times with you inevitably when you have no stamina, and you have to wait for him to get stuck.
Yeah. I have not tried Tigrex in the actual game. I tried Tigrex in the demo, and that was unpleasant.
Is it like holy war material, whether you are supposed to say Tigrex or Tigrex?
Yes.
Okay.
And people will fight you over it.
Just because I already have one Ace Attorney reference in the game, I'm going to keep calling him Tigrex.
Also, yes, but I think that may actually be Capcom's reasoning behind it. But the official pronunciation is Tigrex.
Yeah, I guess when he came out would be around the time Furio Tigre was a villain in an Ace Attorney game.
But it just makes me think of T-Greg.
Oh, wow.
All the more incentive to beat him up. You get a plus 3 RL rage bonus.
So yeah, Tigray was such a dumb villain in Phoenix Wright, but this is Phoenix Wright games. All the villains are really kind of dumb.
It was the worst villain in Phoenix Wright, in fact, with the worst case in the entire franchise.
So bad.
But yeah, no. Just think of it this way: if you go and you fight Tigrex, you'll find more insightful conversation than Low Tigrex.
Oh boy. So what else?
What else is in there? Did you fight Nargacuga?
I did fight Nargacuga, and Nargacuga is a very cool fight. Like it does a lot of the same things that Barioth does, except it's it's faster and it uses that really nasty tail attack.
Yeah, the web wing animals is a thing this X-Pack, which are fine. They're as a design aesthetic, I think they're okay. The stupid bleed status effect is not one that I enjoy playing around, though.
Yeah, bleed is really, really dumb.
Thankfully, we all have 500 suture gems laying in our banks.
I have a quiet corner to sit in for a moment, or bacon.
Yeah. So good old Nargacuga is a thing.
Yeah.
I didn't think much of his fight, honestly, because you fight him in the Ancient Forest.
Yeah, but you also fight him in the Ancient Forest where it is very dark and rainy, and he is kind of a very dark blue-black color. So you can lose track of him if you're not watching him.
But there's a lot of areas to slip and slide in the Ancient Forest, and he doesn't know how to deal with that.
Yeah. I am very glad, though, that they kept the enrage effect on his eyes. When he's enraged in the dark, you can actually see a light streak behind his eyes. He leaves it behind.
I've heard a lot of crotchety old players complaining that the red trails aren't long enough.
They used to be really long, but they're not quite as long. They're a bit more sensible now, but they're still there. And then people just saying, no, get off my lawn. So, yeah.
Like, Nargacuga does not need to be a frontier monster. I think it's fine.
Yeah. That's perfectly fine. What else? I've also talked about other monsters, but you guys are only just coming into fighting, so things like Nightshade Lumu, who is the worst.
Yeah, I haven't had time to play any. Like, I might as well just do my week now since there's none of it. But I haven't had time to do anything because we're short-staffed at work, which basically means that I work furiously all day, and then I come home and I'm too tired to do anything. So
isn't that just your kind of standard operating position now?
Yeah, it's been descending further and further in that direction over the course of time. It's just, this is what happens when you've got bad management.
Yeah.
This just happens more and more often. There's not a thing you can do about it.
Yeah. The work is getting done, and yet they've got less staff. Therefore, they see no reason to put more staff on.
Yeah, and they're trying to resolve the situation in a dumb way as well. Like they're bringing a senior technician down from the Auckland branch to help out for a few days, and which is a hideously expensive way of solving the problem.
Yes.
And all that they really needed to do to fix the morale issues was say, okay, so we're going to need you to stay late. We'll pay you time and a half and buy you dinner, and then everybody will be fine to stay.
I mean, free food.
But no, instead of that, they spent hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars, if not thousands, bringing somebody down to relieve. Like, what is wrong with the management? Anyway, that's basically what things are like for me right now. Since I'm getting my eye surgery done this coming week, I will have a few days off, but what I can accomplish during those days is unclear and will probably literally be unclear.
Very literally, yes.
You made the joke for me. I didn't have to.
Also, eye lasers.
I don't think you actually get eye lasers from having laser surgery, Fern. I hate to spoil it for you, but
that's the office next door, and it's quite a bit more expensive.
Yes, it's the Evil Genius Incorporated. You need to go to for that. But yeah, I'm not sure what your management's playing at with all their.
I just don't. I don't think they know what they're doing anymore.
Yeah.
Like the previous manager did not lose his job because he did anything wrong or because he was bad at his job or anything like that. He lost his job and got transferred to another department because of a internal reorganization.
Oh, yay, office politics.
It was nothing to do with the job that he was doing. It was just he lost his job because someone decided that he would.
Yep. Ugh, I hate all that stuff.
Yeah.
That's why you got out of the office, really, isn't it?
That and the crippling depression that came with it, yes.
Oh, man.
Now, there are ways to solve it. Like, when I worked for the supermarket, everyone needed to stay late because it was stock take time. And the office manager just said, okay, everyone stays late tonight, but I'll buy pizza. And the novelty of that alone kept people going.
Yeah, and our old boss used to do that.
Yeah.
When things were rough, it's like, oh, we've got late samples. We're gonna need you guys to stay here late because the client's desperate to get the results as soon as possible. So you guys keep working. I'll order in pizza, and then we'll take a break and have dinner, and then you guys can finish it off.
Yeah. So it's just the novelty.
And everybody was perfectly okay with that. But yeah, and apparently this new guy just doesn't think.
Bit of a dog by the sound of it.
Spending what $250 on Indian food every night or something for the team, and is somehow more expensive than flying a guy from England, or you said down there or something.
No, it's from Auckland.
From England would be a massive more step up.
But you still gotta put them up and accommodate them and so on. And it wouldn't even cost that much to feed us because the key staff that would need to stay late, there's probably only 4 or 5 of us.
Yeah, but I've discovered
to get that urgent stuff took over. It's just not that expensive.
Yeah, but don't just be aware that when there's free pizza involved, people will eat a lot, even if they don't need to, and normally, even if they don't want to, they will eat a lot just because it's free pizza.
Our crowd isn't really quite like that because most of the people are deeply religious for whichever religion they've got.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them have dietary constraints of various kinds.
Yep. Yeah, this is adulting happening too. I'll admit that my last free pizza experience was when I was a teenager, so...
It's been like 2 decades since the last time I had free pizza.
I'm disappointed because of the lack of free pizza. I need more free pizza in my life.
It is disturbing the number of times this year we've listed stuff we did in numbers of decades ago.
Don't do that. Anyway, back on, I guess, my week. Yeah. So Monster Hunt happened, and I'll let you guys talk about that a bit more. The only other thing I really did was catch up on a little bit of anime, and that namely being Black Clover. And, yeah, if you ever wanted to see a shonen anime escalate, and then when they're finished doing that, they just continue to escalate. Black Clover's doing that right now.
Isn't that what every
Yeah.
shonen does?
Yeah, no.
Well, I know some don't, but isn't that the stock standard shonen shenanigan?
Well, the difference is like, take Dragon Ball, for example, is probably the worst offender, is when they escalate, they stop for 3 or 4 episodes to just talk while they're powering up.
But the thing that could get blown up is first this is I'm just going to lose a tournament. Then oh no, this guy's going to kill all my friends. And oh no, this whole city's in trouble. This whole country's in trouble. The whole world's in danger. The whole universe is in danger.
If I lose this tournament.
The whole multiverse is in danger if I lose this tournament to this guy that looks like he belongs in Area 51.
Yeah, that's Dragon Ball. But Black
Do you
Clover-
know what a minute is? Because I don't think you do.
I don't think you do. But, Black Clover is just going at... It starts off slow, like the first, good grief, maybe 10 episodes are a very slow burn for the show. But once it gets
I think
going,
compared to other shonen, it's actually pretty fast.
We're looking at you, One Piece.
Yeah.
One Piece takes about 100 episodes to get going.
Yeah, and even then, One Piece is still an odd duck in the shonenosphere, where
Yeah.
each self-contained arc is basically a short story in that universe, rather than with some plot progression.
Yeah.
Rather than the traditional myth arcs that most shonen follow.
Yeah. But with the latest arc of the Black Clover series, that everything is going to hell in a handbasket. The bad guys are everywhere, and everything is exploding, and everything is happening at such a fast rate that the moment you stop to think about what's actually going on, you're 3 or 4 steps behind the actual action. Not to mention some really incredibly animated and choreographed fight scenes. Although I have to admit, that fight scene where they got the guy who did the Mob Psycho and One Punch Man to do the animation was a bit off.
I'm
That
not
was-
sure what you're referring to exactly.
When he was fighting the guy, damn it, with the Black Queen arc.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah. So the height of that is completely different animation jump. The entire episode was just one massive fight scene and, let's face it, one massive acid trip.
Yeah, it did get a bit like that for a while there.
So what is even going on? Don't think about it. Just watch all the fighting going on. So
Oh
yeah,
my
it's
goodness.
a very good anime. Not because it does anything original. I think it's just because it just doesn't care that it's not doing anything original.
Yeah, I think it is a bit thin on plot and world building in a lot of places though.
Yeah.
Like I think that the people who really liked, say, Naruto's world building will not like Black Clover very much because number one, Black Clover knocks off pretty much everything that Naruto does,
Yes.
except it does it in a highly abridged fashion, which only leaves the most important points intact.
Yep. It doesn't stop and spend any sort of time with that. It just goes, nope, bored now. Here's a fight scene. Here's a new bad guy. Here's Asta being incredibly annoying.
But that's every episode.
That's every episode. So, yeah, it just doesn't stop and take a breather. Even when it does slow down, it's only for maybe one episode before everything's back on and running at full speed again. And the fact that it picks up all the classic shonen bits and pieces and the tropes and embraces them.
Yeah, I think it's been a bit of a renaissance of classic shonen over the past few years. I think it's probably because the giants started dying.
It did leave a bit of a
That,
void.
Yeah, there's been room for it, and there've been some really good ones like Hero Aka and that have come out.
Yeah.
In that vein, I did watch some of, have not watched all of. I did watch some of Demon Slayer, and it is also a very solid shonen.
That's one I'll get to eventually, I think. It's
Yeah, it's a
lot of
really high
patience.
production values shonen. Really high.
Is that the UFO type of one?
Yeah. So, it's just going to be eye candy.
Yeah, it is classic shonen in every sense, but it's really, really high production values. It's really well put together. More of the classic shonen tropes. I don't think that they've had a tournament arc, but you can sort of see how they could jam one in there if they wanted.
It'll happen.
But yeah, it's really, really good. And because it's, proper wholesome shonen entertainment, the brother and sister have a perfectly normal sibling relationship.
Why does that... It's very sad that actually needs to be mentioned.
Yeah, I feel like I have to point it out. Because it is a story that centers around a brother and sister. So you kind of have to mention that it doesn't center around them for taboo reasons.
Yeah.
Taboo for good reasons, I might add.
Yes. Nobody likes that.
Well, unfortunately, people do like that. That's why it keeps making money.
Nobody we want to actually acknowledge exists.
Yeah, nobody you want to be in the presence of at any point.
Not without a police escort, no.
I need an adult.
Need an adult. So that's my week. Monster Hunter for you guys. Go for it.
Like I said, I haven't had time to play, so I only played a tiny bit, and that involved me killing. I've done the first couple. So Snowfish, I walked all over him. Like, it was annoying to fight him because he kept frostblighting me. So I added some blight resist decorations, and then I could basically kill him by standing next to him, hitting with my sword over and over again until he stopped moving.
Yeah, he's not an overly tough fight.
Banbaro was also relatively simple. I kind of feel bad for him in the way that I felt bad for the likes of, say, Toby Kadachi in base game, where Toby Kadachi's just a really cool monster. He just seems very real in a lot of ways, and he's got cool moves. He's got a cool aesthetic. He's just generally a cool monster, but he's totally irrelevant because he's so early on.
Yep.
And at no point does do you have any need to farm him or fight him. You just tend to avoid him because it's not worth the effort of fighting him. But I feel bad for Banbaro like that, because I think Banbaro is a really cool and impressive monster who's got a very good verisimilitude associated with his ecology and all that. Like, he seems like he could be a real thing, and he's just like the moose that you kill in the first couple fights, and then it's over.
Yeah.
How about that log hitbox?
Yeah, that log hitbox. Like, it's not,
a bit ridiculous.
it's not the shape of that log.
No.
That log and that hitbox, they are distant relatives, not close relatives.
Me and Vol were fighting him together for one of the optional quests. We fought him twice because Vol didn't have the quest, and he had to go pick it up. But the first time we fought him, he threw a log at us. It went clean through Vol, and Vol's character didn't move. And I was nowhere near that log and got hit.
Yeah. Yeah. He does log magic.
Yeah, he's good at that.
That log is shifted slightly in one direction. Its hitbox is. It's probably the exact shape of the log. It's just off center a little bit. And by a little bit, I mean a lot.
Yeah. It's not quite Plesios bad, but it's pretty close.
Although seeing the moose find things to dig up in every zone type you fight him in is funny.
Oh, yeah. Like, if you fight him in the ancient forest, he just digs up all this random rubbish and flings it.
He finds trees in the arena somehow. I don't know how he does it.
Magic. Log magic.
Yeah, log magic.
We dropped
He must be a Naruto character.
Yes, just magic.
They can make logs appear from nowhere. So
log no jutsu.
Log no jutsu.
But yeah, so I think he's cool, but he's just a little bit, he's going to become irrelevant very quickly. Yeah. It looks like.
I was actually rather glad to encounter Viper Kadachi in the capacity that I did, because Toby Kadachi is very good, but having Viper Toby Kadachi just pop up and say, "Hello, remember me? I'm going to ruin your day."
Yeah, I think that as a variant, I think he's really cool in concept.
Yes.
By Toby Kadachi, but the reality is that maybe I would have liked him better than I did, but Ari spent quite a bit of time talking him up. and so did you, Fern. And it was completely one-sided. I walked all over him. He
Wow,
didn't have a
okay.
chance. I destroyed him.
It might be a weapon type thing, or it might just be me and Fern were unlucky, or you got lucky that fight then, because he kicked my butt.
Yeah, he
I-
was very unpleasant to me.
I absolutely destroyed him. I've always been pretty good at fighting Toby Kadachi. Like, that moveset is one of the ones that I'm best at. And I feel like Toby Kadachi is almost the exact right size to lend himself to getting a complete beating from the greatsword. But yeah, he was a joke. I got poisoned a couple times. He does have a special poison that is way more powerful than regular poison, which was a nasty surprise. But yeah, by and large, I stuck to his tail, broke his tail, and after that, he couldn't even touch me. It was just that was the end for him.
If you take his
Yeah,
tail out, he
Toby-
loses a lot of his repertoire.
Yeah. It could be. I'm used to using dual blades and being faster than my opponent at all times, and abusing that to stay alive. Toby's faster than you are with dual blades in demon mode, so Toby negates that, and you have to fight Toby differently with dual blades.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like that his movement patterns lend very well to very easy play for Greatsword because he's the right sort of size and shape that you can. Like my usual approach to fighting him is to stand slightly to the right of him and then just sort of attack pretty much just his left half of his body, and then I fight along that plane. Like I ignore the right half of his body entirely. I just fight along one side and face him head on that way. So I'm always sort of attacking on a slight incline towards the middle of his body, which will allow you to smash his face and his tail very regularly, and they're both weak spots. So yeah, it's a very. I found it to be a very, very easy fight for me. Maybe I think that as using a bow where I would have to be exchanging barbs with him in literal fashion, it would have been a lot nastier.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I would.
I
I
go
would
on.
like to fight him with a bow.
Yeah, because I mean he can do what you can do, except that he hits really, really, really hard.
Yes.
But I also fought. Oh, when Ari and I were trying to fight. Can't remember what we were trying to fight, but this Jagras came along. I think we were fighting a Banbaro,
Yeah.
and this Jagras came along and tried to get involved. And I decided I wasn't having any of that. And the two of us just spent the next 5-10 minutes just beating on this great Jagras. And he just, I felt bad for him by the end of it because he never stood a chance. He's still very much great Jagras.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just, we just thrashed him, and he couldn't do anything. He kept falling over. Every part of his body got broken. It was a real beatdown. And then we just went back to fighting Banbro.
It could be
Yeah.
worse. It could be Kula Yaku.
Oh, we
Yeah,
probably
so-
wouldn't go out of our way to fight Kuliyaku because we have to chase him all over the map.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
But,
he falls over if you look at him funny.
Yeah, I did fight Kuliyaku. He doesn't have very many hit points even for a Master Rank monster. He does have an explosive rock, which was a nasty surprise.
Oh, does he?
But he's
I hadn't encountered that.
if he can only dig. He seems to dig it up sometimes because he seems to have about 3 different rocks that he can dig out now. 2 to 3. I'm not sure. I feel like there's 2 different types of grey rocks, but I'm not 100% sure. But there's a reddish rock that he can dig up. I don't know if it depends where he is or where it's just randomly selected. But if he digs up a reddish rock, it seems to create a little burst of fire when he hits the ground with it, and when he throws it, it goes boom. So
Okay.
yeah, it's an interesting little surprise, sort of novel. But yeah, it's not enough to save him. he's still going to get that little crest on his head beaten into shreds every time. But yeah. So, and I also fought Nightshade Paolumu, who honestly was just annoying because he kept flying away. And
Yes.
just like Paolumus always do, he would just leave the battle anytime he didn't feel things were going his way, like a jerk.
So,
He
The
is a
balloon
joke.
rat can move the fart clouds.
Yes, he has lots of very interesting mechanics, which are hard countered by having resistance to sleep.
Yeah. If you've got sleep resistance,
That's-
he becomes just regular Lumu again.
No, he doesn't become regular Lumu. He becomes regular Lumu plus huge amounts of annoying behavior.
Yes.
I am entertained by some of his new mid-air moves because he looks like a balloon flying around that air is escaping from. He not once did he do a standard butt stomp on me. I do not know if he can, but I never saw him do it even once.
He only ever did the triple butt slam loopy tail flap thing.
I've never seen him do his spin around and then boom thing.
Yeah, where he gets stuck on the ground and you can beat on him for a bit. No, never did that.
Yeah, I don't think he can do that anymore, but he can move sleep gas around. He can suck the sleep gas back up. I don't know if that means he does different things when he's ingested it again. But yeah, there's lots of interesting things. He's got a cool coat of paint on him. Yeah, he's interesting, but he's still Lumu. And if he would just come out of the sky, he would be trivial.
Yeah.
And so instead of being trivial, he's just like, well, you wait for him to come down and then he's trivial.
In the meantime, he's just really annoying.
They have made it so that his neck sack doesn't break after the first couple hits, which is part of what made regular Lumu so unthreatening, was that you could wreck half of his repertoire simply by hitting his neck a few times and it would break really quickly because it's an enormous target.
Yeah,
but
once
now
it breaks, he only spends about half the time in the sky.
Yeah, and this new Lumu, on the other hand, flies at such a height that and moves around enough in the air such that it's not quite so trivial to break his neck sack, and it also seems to be a bit more resistant to breakage, but that might just be a master rank thing. Since I haven't got a single piece of master rank gear, I'm using entirely my old high rank stuff.
Wow. Okay.
Still, yeah. I haven't needed it. Like Lumu is the first monster that it's even been able to dent my health bar. Outside of Poison, Viper Toei Kadachi didn't get me below about 75%. But that was mainly because he couldn't hit me. In the case of Banbaro, he hits relatively hard, but I have to basically stand still and let him beat on me in order to actually cut. So, yeah, I feel like
it's not difficult.
Yeah, I've just been using the same sword and the same set of gear for everyone so far. So to me, it's like doing low rank again for the time being. It just takes a lot longer, but I'm gonna hit the end of that pretty soon, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, Booger Boyle, Boxing Glove Booger Boyle will change your opinion on needing gear real fast.
Yeah, like I mean, I know it's an expectation
that
I'm going to have to farm a new set of gear, but currently my current set of gear is more than sufficient to do everything that I've been doing.
You can get an ugly as all get out piece of gear to work with pretty quickly with the Palico expeditions, but it's ugly.
I don't want to let go of my Valhazak bonus.
I know, it's really nice, that bonus.
Minus 25 resist.
Is there like, I don't know, a rank 12 Valhazak gear set?
The Nergigante trait continues on, so the other Elder Dragons might have master rank equivalents too, because in the optional quest you can go back and fight all the old monsters now at master rank, so...
Yeah, so presumably you can go and get the new master rank version of it. Which might have some of the less useless stuff swapped out for something interesting.
Yeah, I need my stamina surge back, please.
Stamina surge for dual blaze is kind of a thing you definitely need.
Yeah, it's been interesting working without Nergigante set super stamina.
Yeah.
Even though Angie Baby's master rank set doesn't have any abilities I really particularly want, I considered getting it just for the set bonus of stamina. Because you need stamina with dual blades. I carry rations around because you need it so badly.
Yeah. I'm missing a lot of my regeneration and super block abilities, which I used to have. I don't have those anymore. So I can't block all of the things.
Though, while you're doing the leveling up until you start doing the Arc Tempered investigations, I guess, you don't really need those bonuses, but it's really obnoxious when you're used to having them and that tool disappears.
Yeah. All right. What else?
That's all I've done in Monster Hunter. FGO's continuing to continue. I haven't done the challenge quest yet. In fact, I only just unlocked the challenge quest today because you've got to do a whole pile of the mini challenge quests. And I would just like to say that exactly like last year, Da Vinci's list is cruel and unusual and reduces me primarily to silver servants.
Oh dear.
I have a very poor loadout for that particular set because I don't have a lot of Bishonen, which appears to be what Da Vinci wants me to use. But the primary one, it doesn't look too hard in theory, but it does look like one that I'm really not well set up to do. It's every time I look at the challenge quest, it's like, oh well, that'd be really easy with a Raikou, but I don't have one. So yeah, that's the thing. And I mean, if you've got a waiver and a Raikou, you're basically set up for most challenge quests of this particular format because you can just brute force through them. So in the end, observing how it looks like this one's going to play out, I will probably use my stock strategy of backing Martha with supports and then just punching the crap out of everything.
Yeah, that sounds right.
It's pretty much worked in the past. So, and my Martha has got the highest attack stat of any of my servants at this point by quite a margin. So, yeah, that'll be my approach for that. But yeah, there's a lot of little mini challenge quests to do, which are not especially challenging unless you get a nasty surprise that your roster actually doesn't have any characters that are not kings, for instance, or something like that. But again, Martha falls into most of those categories. Like she's not a male, she's not a king, she's less than 165 centimeters tall apparently.
Wait, is that a restriction?
That's yes.
Yep.
That's overly specific.
But since the character heights in their bios were all decided from a Japanese point of view, most characters are quite short.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like Martha, for instance, is always presented in the story as being a very, very imposing figure.
Yeah.
But she still falls into the less than 165 centimeter category. So, yeah.
You ever seen Japanese women? They tiny.
Yeah, oftentimes, yes. Yeah, so that's the thing. Not sure what's going to happen immediately after this event, but yeah, so I'll probably clear that challenge quest stuff tomorrow. I've done, as much farming as I care to, really. I'll probably dump my AP on farming.
You gotta go get 2 drops from Ozzy.
I got 1, and I'm going to be short. I haven't bought the other CEs, and I don't really intend to, unless I get another CE drop from Ozzy. But I've been bullying the Aussie to dump AP all this time, and he hasn't dropped a second one, so yeah, I might just put that on the back burner. I'm not really that worried about it. Like I've gone off clearing the shops. Like clearing the shop is something that you do if you've either got a lot of time in your hands or you're very fortunate on the gacha and so have lots of servants that you want to raise. I don't. Furthermore, realistically, it's not really much point in worrying about clearing the shops, simply from the point of view that you would have to actually spend a colossal amount of time farming QP to use all that crap you get from the shop.
Yeah.
And who's got that time? By the time another lottery comes around to resupply you with QP, you'll have all the materials you need. So I think that it's mainly for people who have a particular servant they're planning to max. Yeah. So yeah, I haven't done much else this week. This past week. This week is going to have time off for me. I'll work on Tuesday. I'll take taking Wednesday off to have my eyes measured, which takes some hours apparently to get all of the measurements necessary to get precisely the right treatment. Then there'll be a couple of hours worth of surgery on Thursday, and then post-op checkups on Friday. And then I should have eyeballs.
Yay!
That work, as opposed to currently where they don't work. So, yeah, I'm pretty borderline. Like you're classified as having severe myopia, like not extreme, but severe myopia at -7, and I'm -6.75. So I'm pretty high up there to the point where, well, I mean, for my profession requires looking at lots of small things. Like I'm a microbiologist, looking at small things is sort of what you do.
Yeah. It's in the name.
Wearing glasses. For those that don't know, if you've got myopia, which is short-sightedness, when you wear glasses, the small distance between your eyeballs and the glasses, which do the correction, causes a small apparent reduction in size of everything that you see. Everything looks slightly smaller than it actually is. The stronger your glasses, the bigger this size reduction is. The more small things start to disappear beyond your ability to discern. So what I was finding working was that there were things that I should be counting on petri dishes that I couldn't see if I had my glasses on, ironically, because their size was disappearing beyond the point that I could clearly discern them. So I would have to take my glasses off to count them. But with my glasses off, I have a little under 20 centimeters worth of vision.
Oh dear.
Meaning that I need to put my face right up close to the petri dish in order to actually see things. And that's not actually always safe.
No, you don't want to be within inhaling distance of some of the stuff you have to measure.
Yeah, so I decided that this was since contacts turned out to not really work very well with my eyes, they would dry out within a couple of hours and it would be quite painful. I decided, I'll just fix it permanently. So,
just buy a new pair of eyeballs.
Yeah, just buy a new pair of eyeballs. It's very expensive for me to do compared to what Ari would have to pay, but it's. I think it'll be worth it in the end. Like as far as investments go, getting your eyes to work seems like a reasonably good one.
Yeah. 7 to 15 years of no longer having to fudge with glasses sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah, and apparently it looks like the adjustment that I would have to do would leave room for a second adjustment in my old age if I wanted to get my eyes fixed again. Because apparently what they do when you get old is if you go for re-LASIKing, they will redo one of your eyes to see far and one of your eyes to see near. Okay. So that at least on average you can see most fields, because most people lose their near vision when they get old as a product of aging.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And so they'll do one eye that will be good for reading and one eye that will be good for distance vision, so that on average you can see passably well, even though you're old. But, the sort of vision loss you get over the age of 50, 60 is not something you can do anything about long term. It's just part of getting old.
Yeah. All right.
Man, we're just talking about stuff that happens when you get old now.
Yeah.
It's what takes up our lives since we got jobs.
Don't want an adult anymore.
Yeah.
I saw, who was it? Michael Knowles complaining about the term adulting.
Oh?
I was like, you don't understand, my dude. We use it as a distinction. It's the time of day that we do stuff that we don't want to do. But we gotta do it.
Well, the thing is that it's something that's used almost exclusively by bachelors. Because we don't have responsibilities per se in our free time, so we resent the fact that our free time gets taken up by frivolous activity.
That requires
if you've got something important to do, like caring for your wife and children, then you don't think of it as adulting because it has a point. It's useful. It's valuable. Yeah. For us, there's only entertainment and slavery. So, yeah, those are our two options.
Just doing all that running around and annoying stuff that you just don't want to do.
I don't want to go into the office. I don't want to listen to the opossum tell me how he messed up something else again.
I don't want to talk to the bank manager. They're boring. It's no longer that nice girl I went to school with who we can sit around and talk rubbish for half an hour on top of it.
Yeah. Don't want to go to the bank and have to make sure my savings accounts accrue an interest right. Don't want to have to
Yeah.
Don't have to pay my insurance that's coming up at the end of next month. Crap.
All I want to do is sit around at home all day in my pajamas playing video games.
That's a life that's not happening. I would feel bad if that was my life and couldn't allow it to happen, even if we joke that's the ideal scenario,
Yeah.
because nothing would be earned, and that
No,
would bug me more than anything else.
honestly, I actually did spend a year unemployed a while ago, and that was essentially my life for that year, and I was just bored to the point of madness.
Yeah, because in a way, adulting, not having the unlimited free time makes the free time have value.
Yeah. It's a necessary evil.
Also, you get money.
Also, money. So, yeah, you need money to support the days where you can just sit around doing nothing all day.
I suppose that everybody's ideal is always going to be to get that job that is basically your hobby.
Yeah. Anywho, we're about due for a break.
All right.
Alright, so let me not crash into a planet. Alright, take us out.
People breaking into the office while we're doing the show. Okay, I'm back.
Wait,
But
what?
yeah, somebody was trying to jabber to me in the office.
Oh, joy.
Like, I'm busy right now. Okay, so we were in Volsweek. So
No, we were
We're
going on
to the
break.
okay,
So we were waiting for you to say we're going on break, but you weren't there.
people were trying to talk to me, and I had to shoo them out. All right, we're going on a break, folks. Here's some music, and we'll be right back. And we're back. Sorry for the long break. I had we'll call it a family emergency, but it was really stupid.
Since this is generally the way your family emergencies tend to go, though.
It's usually somebody doesn't want to do something anymore because of a stupid reason, and they want me to do it.
All right.
So we were in Vols week before somebody barged in my office to complain about how they saw a snake outside.
All right.
Right. Well, don't think that there's much else to say as far as various other anime that I've watched this week. Like, we're coming to the end of the current core, and it's basically a case of they died as they lived. Disappointing. There's not really much else to say. It had been a disappointing season in a lot of respects.
Yeah, there's a few gems in there, but by and large, it was kind of just blah.
It's isekai garbage, basically.
There's way too much isekai.
Yeah, it's not the good ones aren't enough to make up for the bad ones. Is the problem?
Yeah,
like, the amount of dreck that you've got to wade through to get something that's even passably watchable is just not great. That damn fly.
Flies are eternal.
Yeah, unfortunately they seem to be. This one is going to gradually strangulate since I have an automatic insecticide dispenser in here.
Suck it, fly.
I hate flies. But yeah, I don't have much else to say at this point, I don't think. Yeah. We'll call it there. I don't have much of a week to speak of because I'm pretty tired. Hopefully that might change depending on how quickly I get video ready vision back.
Yeah, have to have a look and see what's actually coming up in the next season too, if there's anything worth paying attention to.
Well, it's like there's Babylonia is on my map, and it's like it's such a large object that I can't see anything else.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's only a 21 episode run. So yeah, it's shorter than normal, but I'll take what I can get. I need my fix.
Got to get that fate fix.
I see. So I guess we'll move into my week then. I already gave y'all most of my week during the Monster Hunter segments. So there's a bit more of Monster Hunter and a little bit of WoW I can talk about, because that was really all I had time to do this week. It was a very busy week. Not as busy as it sounds like Vols has been, but still a very busy week in general. My days consisted of waking up, work a lot, sleep for about an hour or two, get on, play for 2 or 3 hours with Abo in WoW, and go back to sleep. One night I was so tired I just fell asleep on him.
Oh dear.
And slept right through it after I told him I'd be on. So I felt kind of bad about that, but I was just dead. So yeah. Monster Hunter. I have made my Rarity 10 set and one Rarity 10 weapon that's a sword and board because it was easy to make. And I am still using Rarity 9 dual blades. And we got a little further than Fern. I beat Booger Boxing Gloves and finished the find the stuff, fill up the little bar to investigate the new Velkhana or something.
Yep.
And so
Oh.
And that's where I left off. I have not fought Velkhana yet, but I have fought all the.
You keep cutting out there. That's kind of weird. What's going on here?
Oh, that's because my button's having problems. It keeps letting up early. Let me fix that. I'll fix it while we talk. But yeah. And that's really all I can think of that I did in Monster Hunter. I did a bunch of the optional quests. I don't know which ones I have and have not done and what percentage of them I've completed, but I tried to do the most annoying ones first, like the capture quest, the mandatory capture ones and stuff. And that's pretty much it for the Monster Hunter stuff. I covered the rest in Fern's week when he was talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
In WoW, I caught up to Abo, and we did our Zul'Farrak run, and we've been doing 2 or 3 hours a night. We did this week. We cleaned up quite a few zones. We did Feralus and Tannerus the first night, and then we did the Great Unguru Dinosaur Grind, which are all drop quests, as we found out, instead of kill quests. So Unguru was twice as long as it normally would take. And then we did Sunken Temple, and we had all the quests for that. We did... we tried to do Badlands, and then we gave up doing Badlands. Or not Badlands. We tried to do Blasted Lands, and we gave up on Blasted Lands because the Blasted Lands quests are awful.
They are. A lot of them is go to X place, then come back, and X place is all the way on the other side of the zone.
No. You're thinking of a different Blasted Lands. This Blasted Lands is go kill basilisks, hyenas, and buzzards.
Oh.
And get a drop that has like a 2% chance to drop and bring me back 10 of them.
Right.
And that's all the Blasted Lands is.
And there's only maybe 4 or 5 quests in the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the one where the Dark Portal is? I'm trying to remember what zone that is.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah.
And if you're really unlucky, Kazakh turns up.
He's not in the game yet.
Okay. Well, that's not...
He was released later.
Yeah, and he's off in the Tainted Scar.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You're dramatically cutting in and out, and I can't tell what you're saying.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just lagging really bad.
Yes, you
I
are.
cut my stream off.
You know the first thing that happens when Kazakh is dropped into the game is he's going to be kited to Stormwind almost immediately.
So,
yeah. Well, I mean, the leash might already be in place, so...
No, it's not.
Oh, dear.
Teramis was in Stormwind the other day.
Ew.
This sounds very like a bad idea.
So the GM had to come in and port him out. I wasn't there for the GM to port him out, but I presume that's what happened. That or Teramis got bored and killed a whole section of the city, and nobody was left around where he could chain kills to.
Yeah. With any luck, the GMs are just going to keep an eye on Kazakh, and as soon as they see that he's wandering off, they're just going to go, nope.
Yeah, they might have a leash for Kazakh, but they do not have it. They put the leash in for Kazakh well before Teramis or anything like that. So Teramis is just a quest mob. He's not a raid boss.
Yeah.
He's an angry quest mob.
He's a very angry quest mob, though.
He's an invincible quest mob, but yeah.
Yeah.
So he's a thing. We gave up on Blasted Lands. I just traded all the items I had to Abo, and he turned in as many quests as he could, and then we moved on to a different zone. And after we did our Sunken Temple run, which was interesting, and we had this one obnoxious hunter in it that kept telling me to please fairy fire everything. I'm like, I am. You don't understand. Everything in here is a green dragon. It resists.
Mm-hmm.
Literally every single time. And I had to explain this 4 or 5 times before he got it. And he's like,
well, nature resist hasn't been a thing for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I told him. I've told him nicely the first time. I told him nicely again the second time. The third time, I'm like, dude, their base nature resist is too high for my fairy fire to penetrate. They are going to fully resist it, and you will get no effect of fairy fire because I'm sitting here pushing the button for threat, and the debuff is not getting applied. And then we got to the Green Dragon mini bosses, and the game just straight up makes them immune to nature damage. So.
Oh yeah, have fun with that.
So there is no way to put it on those. And he was being a butt about that. And he was, other than that, he was okay. But he was a big time butt about that. And it drove me nuts.
Just, dude, listen to what I'm saying.
Like I just told you. And me and Abo had done the whole quest line for Hakar. So we had the egg to summon in and do that quest. And we also had the quest to click the statues in the right order. That didn't go well because none of us knew. I know the upper 2 floors pretty well, like floors 3 and 4. Nobody goes to floors 2 and 1 in Sunken Temple ever for any reason. So we got there, and I didn't have a clue what I was doing other than the order to click the statues in because I had a little map pulled up. The map's thoroughly the most unhelpful thing of all time.
Yeah, there's no dungeon maps in those days, or no decent dungeon maps.
So I had some guys mock up on Reddit of those lower floors, and they were horrible. The only useful information was the order to click the statues to summon the Troll Berserker boss. And so we got that, and we finally killed that one. And then we got to Hakar, and we're like, okay, we're going to do Hakar. And the guy's like, can we do Hakar? Hakar's really hard. And he's making it a big deal. I'm like, don't worry, it'll be fine. Just who wants to do the blood? And this same guy freaked out when I set loot to free-for-all for phase 1 of the fight. Because he didn't understand how the fight works. For those that don't know, the monsters spawn constantly in phase 1 of the Hakar fight. Phase 2 is a joke. You have to deal with a gauntlet, basically. And to stop the gauntlet, you have to extinguish 4 braziers around the room. And the blood you need to extinguish them drops from, the wind serpents that spawn during the fight. And so you need your designated blood go douser to be able to loot them. Because they're on rotation loot normally, the group loot. So, and only 4 of them spawn. So if somebody gets them that doesn't know what they're doing, and you have to sit there and try and jabber to them while doing the gauntlet, you're in for a bad time. And so, thankfully, the other rogue had done this before and was in the same boat I was. He's like, don't worry, I know how to do the blood. It's not that hard. I'll just do it.
Yeah.
And so we got Hakar down without incident. The paladin that was with us was trying to we had some little 59 paladin healer. Because he had, I guess he wanted the troll mini bosses because they can randomize best in slot gear if you're lucky or something.
Okay.
For a lot of classes. So he was trying to get those. And that was interesting. So we were fine. The dude never ran out of mana because he's level 59 in the level 50 dungeon. We figured out the class quests for ST aren't in the game yet. Those came out later, so they're not in the current version of the game we're in. I was looking all over the place for somebody to breadcrumb me to Moonglade, and just turns out that doesn't exist.
Oh.
Not in the game yet.
Fun.
It'll come out in phase 5. It's a catch-up mechanic. So they've deliberately phased those quests out because I guess the rewards really are pretty dang good and well itemized, and they were a catch-up mechanic at the time, so it kind of makes sense. I just expected the base game quests to all be in there, but those are not. Am I still cutting in and out, by the way?
No,
you're better now.
Okay. But yeah. So that was our ST adventures. And then after ST, I died for a day. And then we went to Western Plaguelands at level 53. Oh no, we did Felwood. And then I died for a day by accident. And then we went to Western Plaguelands. And tomorrow, I don't think we're going back to Western Plaguelands.
Why not?
Because there are... Okay. You need to understand...
You need Scourge Stones, man.
I know. But there is a community in a class right now that I don't know if I've clarified very well to my co-host prior to the show very well just how bad mages are right now. Mages are the streamer kiddies, like, I saw a streamer do this class. And they all think they know how to AoE grind. In Western Plaguelands. At the Cauldrons. And in Anderhall. And outside Show and Camp. So these guys literally have 50 plus mobs chasing them because the undead in the Plaguelands don't ever give up on chasing you, and they will follow them all over the place while they fail at their AoE grind, inevitably die, and they will all run and reset on top of you who didn't know any mobs were not just, in the process of respawning, but in fact chasing the mage who was being an idiot.
Yeah. I learned a while ago, actually, back in Vanilla and Burning Crusade, if you see a mage running around in Western Plaguelands doing that sort of thing, just stay well away from them.
Oh, me and Abo both just stared at a guy. We both have heal buttons. Either of us could have taken the initiative to save his life when he was trying to AoE grind. Neither of us did. We just stared at him. He was Alliance too. We both could have healed him. No, screw you, dude. You are not only taking all the quest mobs we need, but you are endangering the lives of everyone around you. Because if you buff while somebody's doing that crap, even yourself, and you're not in combat, all the undead, as soon as they kill that mage, are going to go, huh?
Yep.
And we had this happen too many times to be doing that at level 53, which is about one level lower than level appropriate. So we probably are going to go to Burning Steps and do that one instead.
Burning Steps. Everything is fire.
We did Searing Gorge too at some point, but Searing Gorge is a fairly straightforward zone. Not a lot of fun stuff that happened.
Yeah.
So in my itty bits of downtime, I have casually been poking at a warrior who is a mirror to my warrior that I first ever made. So little night elf girl with engineering, enchanting professions, just for authenticity's sake. The two biggest money sinks in the game, with no return, unless you can farm Crusader.
Make mechanical yetis.
Yeah, you make scopes if you run MC. But yeah, and so I have encountered two types of people, and the latter group has almost entirely been comprised of mages. The first group is the people that are very nice and you have a good time with, and you add to your friends list after the dungeon, and you say, hit me up if you ever need me, and you may talk once in a blue moon in whispers as you're just derping around fishing in the middle of Daenerys while you're doing a podcast or something.
Cough, cough.
And
That's terribly specific.
That's what I'm doing right now. But the other group are all mages that have all watched streamers and believe they are MLG Pro at the game. And like, oh, this is so much easier group content than it is in retail. We can totally set up an AoE group and be able to do a dungeon.
Nope.
And when they get... Well, aside from the fact that most of the reports I've read on these groups just fail horribly whenever they pug a tank out of it to fill the slot so that they can just do big pool AoE groups instead of the proper, Eye of Kilrog aggroes all of SM Cath and 4 Frost Mages behind him do the proper SM Cath grind that some, top tier guilds would do, and they had to practice this, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
This was not an easy thing to do. So they think they can do this, and they will do the dumbest crap. Like AoE 2 mobs, AoE 1 mob. They'll just blizzard a single target. It's like they've forgotten they have a button other than Kona Cold and Blizzard. And they will just sit there and spam these 2 buttons and screw up the whole pool. They do not wait for threat. The concepts to mages in this expansion in particular, and multi-shot hunters. But multi-shot hunters are far and few between compared to other types of hunters which seem to actually know where the trap button is and will communicate with you when they're going to trap something. Most of my hunter experiences have been really nice. But you do get the ones that multi-shot open on every pull and everything because you weren't getting rage because stuff wasn't hitting you at the opening of the pull. Those things are going to go run underneath the healer now. You get those occasionally, but they're fairly rare, and that's not as bad as the mages. The mages, just because they don't know how to stop AoEing, make it so you never have aggro on the stuff that you haven't hit yet. This isn't retail. I don't have, revenge that cleaves. It doesn't naturally cleave to 5 targets. It hits 1 target for 8 damage. I have Sunder Armor that costs 15 rage to use. And if I don't have the opportunity to charge in, guess what? We got to sit there for about 2 seconds while the 3 or 4 mobs beat on me. Not 2 seconds while it's running to me, while it's beating on me before I can sunder anything or maul anything.
Fun.
If I'm bear warrioring it, like, you're just going to get yourself killed. And I've been working on a macro that just in /party chat gives a PSA about all this crap as briefly as possible and as sternly and politely as I can possibly be to any pugs that I do in the future that have a mage. And I'm going to do it every single time I see a little blue bar in somebody's health name in my party list, because I just don't trust this class right now, especially the ones that are high level. They were not a problem until ZF level plus, and they have been the only players and class combo that I've consistently experienced problems with. Every other class is mostly people that know how to play the game, used to play a long time ago, is coming back and is just here to chill out and make friends. But not mages.
Oh no.
So if you're
You
in
seem
WoW,
mad.
Just
little
a
bit.
bit.
It's so irritating and so consistent at the exact same time.
Streaming is cancer.
It is.
Yeah.
On the plus side, it is now after midnight on the server time, so stone scale eel spawns increase.
Yay.
Did you know stone scale eels go from a 2% drop to a 12% drop at midnight?
I did not initially.
I didn't either, and I looked it up before the show.
I did know that they drop more at night. I didn't realize that it was a midnight server time thing.
According to the Thoughtbot, that's what the top comment said at the time at this time when people were playing.
Yes, Thoughtbot now has a complete.
Yeah, well, Thoughtbot also would have told you that you can fish up clam meat in that pool.
Yes.
You can. Have you seen my stream when I had it up? I was fishing up clam meat.
Yeah.
You fish up
Were you
pearls.
fishing up clams or clam meat?
Clams. But
Yeah.
you know what?
Yeah. Well, Thoughtbot would have told you could get clam meat.
I think pretty sure it said Ragnaros drops clam meat.
Yes, it did.
Yes.
I think that's because while a boss is being looted or a loot window's open, if you open a clam while it's open, it probably reads it as clam meat coming out.
Probably.
Yeah, they're monitoring that the mods had back then to fill out the data in Thoughtbot was a little crude.
Yeah.
So everybody dropped zesty clam meat.
Just, I swear people were running around and just doing that just to screw with the algorithm.
Once it became a thing, yeah.
Yeah. All right.
So yeah,
Uh,
that's been my WoW experiences and my Monster Hunter experiences, and the rest has been all work. This sounds like I did a lot in WoW and Monster Hunter, but I really didn't. We got all of 5 levels in WoW. What's a 53-pound groper?
it's a big fish.
It's an offhand, isn't it?
I think so.
I think it is. Yeah.
No, it just says sell price on it. That's really weird. I have to look up what the heck that is. I just fished one up.
Okay.
But yeah, so for those that don't remember, also in Classic WoW, 45 is the halfway point, not 30. And so we have hit the 45 wall, and we're struggling through it. The in-game grind is real to get to max level.
Yeah, I spent a long time killing skeletons in WPL.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll go back there after we do Burning Steps probably, because I just can't take it.
I played on a PvP server, so it was not just, oh, well, stupid mages will sometimes get you killed. It was often like people deliberately training you using that technique will get you killed.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But I eventually devolved into a pattern of rapidly doing single pulls as opposed to doing the normal affliction procedure of just dotting everything and then killing it before you die, so much as I adopted a strategy which would enable me to pull one, and kill one thing at a time, but never ever drop below 100% health and mana, because dropping below 100% health and mana just made you a target.
Yeah. I tell you what, though, as a Feral Druid and Paladin, I am very happy that me and Abo are doing this duo for these two classes specifically, because he's a Paladin, so they need help no matter what, even if the undead do get a bonus to, if Paladins have bonuses against the undead. Paladins just suck to level, period.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Feral Druids can't bleed anything in the two most prominent level 54 to 60 zones, EPL and WPL, because half the stuff is skeletons. So we can't do any damage to it. We have to bear our way through it real slowly. But if you have a bear around who can hold aggro, and you have a paladin that can make the skeletons have a nice workout with some exorcism, it works out pretty good. You know, when the mage isn't training 50 mobs onto you and you die 4 times in the same cauldron area because, oh my goodness, you people, what the heck are you doing? Please stop trying to be streamers.
Ugh. Please stop being streamers.
Just, you know, we would have been fine. Might have been a little slow, but it would have been fine. We would have been able to chew through it and probably be done with WPL before the show, except for Andrew Hall's later quests. No, mages had to ruin it. And it was a different mage every time. That's what really, really triggered me on this. is it was a different mage every single time.
Oh dear.
So yeah, that's the report from the week. And I suppose we can. Did we have any emails? Did anybody check?
Nope.
Nope, you
Nope.
didn't check or nope, we don't have
Yeah.
any.
Nope. Just a note. So I'll have a quick look while we line up things.
Yeah. So, while he does that, we had some things in the news, I think. Maybe. That's the wrong channel. There.
Okay. Here we go. We do have an email.
Good. Sarah said he'd send us one, so.
Yeah, I thought he mentioned it. Okay, so let's dive straight into it. So it is from Ceratus, and he says, "Dear No Excuses, you done it now. You talked about 90 FPSs. So first things first, Heretic might have introduced looking up and down and an inventory, but in the end it doesn't even matter, because Heretic is still about collecting keys and finding an exit, just with underpowered weapons and annoying enemies." Yes, it was. Hexen introduced hubs and interconnected levels with puzzles and 3 classes to choose from. The puzzles and switch hunting was pretty strong. Then in Hexen 2, they turned it way past 11. But I still think Hexen is the superior game. While at it, I would like to mention Strife, which went even further. Strife had NPCs, quests, shops, a branching story with multiple endings, a rudimentary stealth system, and even cutscenes. In the end, you still had to shoot up every level, but it was very forward-facing for a 1996 FPS, especially compared to Duke and Quake. I won't even mention Unreal and Sin and Deus Ex, especially Deus Ex, because that's an immersive sim and not an FPS. It also had a sequel of which nobody will speak about.
All right. I got the sequel on Steam years later and tried to play it.
Why? I actually did try and play Invisible Wall.
Yeah.
I regret everything.
It came
I had a
with
friend
the
who was like
copy.
a super fan of Deus Ex, and he just loved the first one, absolutely loved it, and he forced himself to play through the second one completely because he had to as a fan. But he hated every second of it.
Yeah. The first one did so many things that a lot of games, well, still haven't even been repeated in a lot of games. Like the actual branching storyline being one of them.
Yeah, I'm scared to go back and play the original Deus Ex because I played it so diddly dang long ago, and it did so much. It was mostly memorable because of all the new stuff it did at the time. And I'm afraid if I go back and play it, I'm going to ruin all those memories.
Yeah, it hasn't aged well in a lot of ways. Although I believe there are mods that sort that out for the most of the things. There's always mods.
Yep.
But I missed Strife entirely coming up in my youth.
I remembered seeing it, and I remembered thinking it looked like trash. Like the aesthetic just did nothing for me.
Yeah.
It just looked tacky, like Lego.
I was kind of bogged down in Quake at that time, and probably spending way too much time in the low gravity hidden level.
Yeah, it was contemporaneous with Quake, and that was pretty much the problem.
Yeah.
Really, is that Quake had something much more radical as a sales point in being, polygon enemies.
Right.
And Duke Nukem had levels that made sense in a visceral way.
Mm-hmm.
Which like they looked like they looked like they were genuinely aping places, and that really grabbed people's attention. Plus the franchise was still strong back then for Duke.
Oh, how the mighty have fallen there. Ugh.
Yeah, I mean I know that Cerathus has an axe to grind against Heretic. He's always had an axe to grind against Heretic for some reason. I still like it. I like it better than Doom. But I mainly like it better than Doom because it's fun and gimmicky, not because it's better. that was never in this discussion, and quite frankly, the reason why it's not much good is because there wasn't much work put into it. To be quite frank, the Doom continued to evolve, but they basically made Heretic and then left it there. Heretic was just like, well, something to do while they developed other ideas. But the weapons are horribly underpowered. It is quite annoying that they're horribly underpowered, but they're horribly underpowered because of basically calculation errors fundamentally, and I mean that in a metaphorical sense rather than a literal sense, in that they expect a certain amount of Tome of Power usage at certain points in the game, but unfortunately that's something that you can only do if you already know the game inside out. Like, oh well, this is the ideal time to use the Tome of Power because I get the maximum bang for my buck. Because under the effect of the Tome of Power, some of the weapons were spectacularly powerful. Like, though I think a lot of people felt a bit. I think a lot of people are offended by the weapon strength in Heretic largely because they're just too slow at giving you powerful weapons, generally speaking, and most of them end up being more gimmicky than helpful. Like the Fire Mace in a lot of situations, pretty much useless. Like as a replacement for whatever it was a replacement for. I think it might have been a replacement for the BFG. It's not the BFG at all. It does not resemble the BFG in any way. In fact, it just fires these gutlessly weak bouncing spheres. And while it's true that under the effect of the Tome of Power you can one-shot most small enemies with a single shot, it's not practical to use because it just sort of lobs the projectile gently in front of you instead of actually firing it.
Oh dear.
So, yeah, there's lots of they lost the plot at some point when they were doing the later weapons. Like the first 4 weapon slots are relatively comparable to Doom and quite cool to use when you're under the effect of the Tome of Power. Like they're pretty effective. But the latter 3 slots, they just lost the plot. I have no idea what they were attempting to do. There's some really cool things, like the Rain of Fire effect that you could get from the Hellstaff was really cool and quite effective at tying up groups of creatures, since you could often sort of lock them in hit stun animations because of the number of hits that it did, which was quite helpful. Like there were interesting things that you could do with them, but they weren't good. They weren't good, and the Phoenix Rod was a rocket launcher / flamethrower, which is mainly cool because the flamethrower is a flamethrower. The flamethrowers are cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's more email. So,
yeah.
He goes on. I bring Hexen up because I came across another great product of the glorious PC gaming modder race, Scattered Evil for Hexen. It could probably use a better name, but Scattered Evil transforms your typical Punch Essence game into a proper Daggerfall-esque RPG. With alignments, quests, XP and stats, bestiary and lore to unlock. World building, varied locales, and several different ways of playing the game, ranging from punch essence, most RPG elements disabled, to think carefully about how not to piss off NPCs because they won't give you side missions. You can even buy your own house, so check out Scattered Evil on ModDB. Pluggity plug, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it could support it. I mean... It does sort of amuse me that the Eton is sort of universally used as a standard amongst Hexen players. Like
he's got to punch it.
3 punches to kill an Eton, 5 strikes from the Mace of Contrition, and 7 shots from the Sapphire Staff. That's roughly standard, if I recall correctly, for killing an Eton, because an Eton is your basic unit of health.
Yeah.
That's how you measure how tough something is. But yeah, I think that it could support. The Hexen seems like a good armature on which you can build a real RPG, and that's sort of the thing that I think makes Hexen 2 bad. What makes Hexen 2 bad is the direction they should have gone was to do that, to make Daggerfall. Instead, they just made, Hexen but more baroque. There's lots more fiddly crap. And I didn't enjoy any part of Hexen 2 at all. I just thought that it was like the same except more fiddly and without any of the charm. It was just dull.
Yeah, that's all we really need. Alright, let me see, where were we? Here we are. Also, RFL. It's still a very pretty but kind of boring JRPG made with RPG Maker. However, the devs are working on a new game, using a new engine, and decided to make an upgraded edition of RFL on that port, currently in beta, to be released next year. And Blood is a mix of gothic horror and slasher comedy, with horrible combat balancing and annoying screams that enemies make, and flying enemies that can accelerate indefinitely while airborne but in great level design. Wait, what? Also, check out Death Wish for Blood on ModDB. The newer version is coming out sometime in October. That's from Serathus, and he also says, P.S. Redneck Rampage does take place in Louisiana. Alright.
Yeah. But I thought he wasn't going to admit that it existed.
So RPG...
Gargoyles and Blood Wars bothered me because of their ability to sort of like... That's like the most immersion-breaking thing, in my opinion, about Blood, was gargoyles accelerating while facing you just laterally along the sky at ridiculous pace. Like, what are you doing? It's not how flying works.
It's not how acceleration works. Wait, hang on. Yes, it is. That sounds really, really silly, but quite a lot to take out of the experience.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Blood was very silly in a lot of ways. Like, it seemed like they had gone to a lot of effort to allow you to literally play football with zombie heads. Like, there's a carnival where one of the games is to boot zombie heads into a target. Like,
yes,
this is the sort of game. Also, you can murder mimes. So,
I mean, why would you not?
Yeah, it seems logical.
Alright, so yeah.
I think I prefer the Duke Nukem 80s kitsch a little bit better, but Blood still had its moments.
Yeah, just being ridiculous. I grew up more with Rise of the Triad, actually. I mean, turning into a dog and biting the crotches off Nazis.
Rise of the Triad engine was a mess. Like,
oh, yeah,
they
was.
did not work out how to do angles. Just did not. Could not do it. Could have multiple levels but no slopes. Could have right-angled walls but no other types of angles. So anytime they needed to make a curve, it was just a zigzag along the wall, which meant that enemies could hide in them conveniently enough.
Trying to 3D platform, but the 3D platforms could only be rendered in 2 dimensions in some cases. That was fun.
Yeah. A gajillion different weapons, though, although half of them were bazookas and had more of a risk to yourself than the enemy.
One was a bazooka strapped to a bazooka strapped to a bazooka. It was basically a cluster bazooka. That was awesome.
Yeah, the drunk missile launcher.
Yeah. It was an excellent, incredible weapon, but inevitably you'd blow yourself up along with everything else in the room.
Yeah, and any time I pulled the trigger on the firebomb gun, I would just die.
Yeah, I think that's all that weapon actually did, was just kill you.
Yeah, theoretically you could use it, but it was basically an RPG where you don't get to be, not an RPG, a BFG where you don't get to be invincible to the BFG's effects.
Yeah, it'll take you out as well. Good times.
The firewall gun was cool though.
Firewall gun was great.
Yeah, it had that little tinkle 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 sound effect when you incinerated someone.
But Rise of the Triad, for all its faults, it was so ridiculously good, and just for how campy it was as well.
I did not understand the story at all. Something about a cultist. And you fight a big face at the end.
Yeah, you fight a big face. It's like, there is cults, there are Nazis, but they're not Nazis, and you are the only one badass enough to kill all the Nazi things by being a dog sometimes. I don't know. That's pretty much the plot.
They had the Excalibat.
And the Excalibat. So, RPG Maker games, there are a lot of them. I've seen RFL cross my Steam's recommendations every now and again.
Well, the reason why I brought it up was because it never goes away from my Steam recommendations. It lives on there.
Let me see. Let me go to Steam recommendations. I bet you it's there at the moment, actually. Let's see. Code Vein, because Edge, Life is Feudal. Again, I told it to ignore that game. Blair Witch. Yeah, here it is. RFL. In my recommendations.
Yeah, it's on mine as well. Yeah, it's on mine as well. But it's Serathus' fault, so...
I also noticed that they're using exactly the same party setup in 2 of these screenshots, and it's very disturbing when I'm mousing between them. And if I'm
pretty sure that the...
Yeah, someone disappears in the 3rd, so... Oh, wow, this is trippy.
I'm pretty sure the only reason it keeps getting recommended to me is because of Serathus, so...
Possibly. Yeah, like there's a lot of really good ones, but there's also a lot of junk. I think RFL is one of the ones that has been recommended to me as being quite good. All right, we have a little bit of news before we start looking at winding up. Ari, you haven't done anything for a while. Take your pick.
Okay. Y'all do not have much to say about. Let's see. Okay. You want to make fun of Bethesda again? Do the big one early?
I mean, it's low-hanging fruit. How could we not?
Oh goodness. Old Tech Raptor formatting. What happened, honey?
Yeah, the new format for Tech Raptor is very difficult to see what's actually relevant and current.
They're older articles. That yawned super big there. They do not translate well to this new format.
Nope.
But yeah. So let's say you are Bethesda and you need to ship these helmets out. Okay. You shipped out these little plastic collected edition helmets or whatever they are to your Fallout 76 supporters, all 2 of them that are still left. And then those people die of mold poisoning or something because mold has been found inside these things.
Yeah. It's only been a tiny amount by later reports, but I mean a tiny amount of the actual helmets, but having it there at all is a bit.
Well, it's something that you're supposed to stick over your face, so.
Yes. Like, is there anything else they could do wrong with Fallout 76? It seems like every time you turn around, something else has happened.
Well, the weird thing is that it's not the collector's edition one. It's just the red version, which is like exclusive to a particular store or something, like GameStop or something. I can't remember. So it's identical in every respect to the collector's edition one, except that it's red and has mold issues, I guess.
Apparently, it has yes, it has life growing in it.
So yeah, I'm not sure. Like, I wonder what would have happened if they'd had to recall their collector's edition one as well. Because at present, that this is just limited to the GameStop one and not their Power Armor edition one.
Yes.
So yeah, they don't look like they vary that much, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
The red one is apparently like there are only 32 items in circulation, grand total.
Okay.
So it's not like a widespread problem, but I'm not sure why it would just be those 32 that have this issue since they look the same as all the others.
Why? How is this a problem in the first place?
I think this just goes further to support the theory that Bethesda is actively trying to now physically kill off all of their remaining fan base.
It just works.
It just works. I know they're going to have their big expansion release very soon that allegedly puts NPCs into the game. I'm half expecting everything to just catch fire and be terrible.
Just why? All we wanted
there from launch.
was a multiplayer mod for Skyrim. It's basically all we wanted when we said we wanted multiplayer in Bethesda games.
Yeah. If Bethesda's listening by some miracle, you know what Diablo 3 did with multiplayer? Do that.
No, don't even do that. You know what Borderlands 1 did a billion years ago? Do that without the need for Game Ranger. And that's, if you really want to break into multiplayer, that's all you got to do.
Yeah, just jump in, jump out multiplayer. That's all we want.
Well, there are some people who like Fallout 76. Like occasionally I'll see one in social media or something and they'll be talking about whatever they did lately and they found a cool place to set up their camp. I mean, clearly you can have fun in there.
Yeah.
It's just that the entire product was basically a scam.
Yeah, from my experience playing it, like there is fun to be had in it, and more power to the people who are really enjoying themselves in there, but I feel like I'm being ripped off whenever I'm playing it.
That's your first mistake. You played it after we told you. After
Oh, I
you read
knew
it.
fully intentionally. I went into it knowing what to expect, but I'm also a huge Fallout fanboy. So, yeah, I was going to look at it sooner or later anyway, but I don't know. It just didn't need to be an MMO. Like, they could have just done a spin-off for Fallout 4 where you can play it multiplayer optionally or preferably ignore everybody else and just explore. So, it's just, yeah.
Maybe we're just out of touch because we're from the age of, when local couch multiplayer and online drop in, drop out multiplayer was the only multiplayer option we really had unless you were playing an MMO.
We're actually from an age where a game works at release. How about we go there?
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe Bethesda's just like, okay, these kids love all these broken, buggy games. They love having to be connected online all the time. Look at Facebook.
Ugh, that's not.
This is a great business model. And, I am joking when I say that. But I could see somebody that's dumb enough coming out of college, and I'm getting a marketing degree especially. In modern college, that ain't hard to be that stupid. And genuinely believing that. There's probably at least one guy somewhere in the world who has a job that thinks that.
Now, that's an excellent segue.
To what, since you're segueing?
To what is Facebook has announced their new VR playground. Which is essentially basically a big online community where everyone sticks on their VR goggles and just hangs out and has a good time.
This sounds like the sort of thing that would be devised by someone who'd never been on the internet before.
Yes, but has watched a isekai anime.
Have y'all ever seen? Of course, y'all probably have, but the movie Summer Wars.
Yeah.
No, I haven't.
Okay, I love Summer Wars. It's made by the guy that made the Digimon movie.
That's going to be your way to describe it, is it?
It's what he wanted direct to. It's the original film he wanted to direct when he was told he had to put a Digimon skin on it without the Digimon skin.
I'm going to go one further, and I'd say this is someone who's read Ready Player One.
Yeah, so they have this online world scenario, which is the Ready Player One, Summer Wars, etc. Type of online hub area, and it just every single piece of fiction that's had one of these, that whole place ends the world.
Yes.
Or something terrible happens.
Devouring the population or something.
Or nukes start going off if we're talking Ready Player One. Like, that was a bad book, by the way.
It was. No, the book was better than the movie, at least, but that's not saying much.
I listened to the audiobook and returned it as soon as I was done. But
it's not hard. I figured out all the puzzles in 5 minutes.
Like, yes, I've done Tomb of Horrors before. I get the reference, honey.
It's
now,
Zork.
what's the actual story?
It's always Zork.
But yeah. Yeah, I just don't have... Aside from this being really dumb, there's a reason nobody's done this. Because it just doesn't seem like a good idea.
Well, I mean, all you need to really look at is, like, what is the internet actually like? I mean, if you want the VR experience of playing Second Life, I mean, you know the sort of twisted depravity that goes on in there when people are left on the internet unattended.
Every person that would use this would be a citizen of the internet, at the very least. B, have a lot of money, so they probably have a lot of free time and don't need to work very much. And this breeds people that are not the types you want to hang out with on a daily basis.
It's like you create a hub like this, it will be like 99.9% furry ERP within a week.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, it's inevitable this sort of thing was going to happen, but aside from all of that, I also just don't trust Facebook with it because, well, it's Facebook.
Yeah, what they actually want is the ability... You're right, they did watch an isekai. It was sought out online, and they want the ability to microwave your brain at will.
They want to read all your personal data directly from the brain itself.
If we can't have access to your thoughts, then neither can you.
Yes. because we're going to monetize your brainwaves. So, okay, that's years off.
Like the bad guy in Matrix was actually just the uploaded consciousness of Lizard Man, dude, whatever it's
Mark
called.
Zuckerberg?
Yeah, Zuckerberg.
Lizard Mando. Yep.
He's a lizard man. He has to be a lizard man.
Well, that's rude.
I think he's either an alien or a robot, TBH.
Or something. I got blown up by cops, and then they had the nerve to find me even after they blew up my ship. That's rude.
No, they were finding you for illegal fireworks.
Yeah, but oddly enough, they're not actually charging me for the crime I was committing.
Stop! You violated the law.
All right. So anyway, it's like, yeah, it's inevitable that someone was going to make this sort of thing. It's just, yeah, Facebook is watching, and I just don't trust them with that level of data.
Or any level of data for that
Or any
matter.
level of data. But I mean, they don't need to do any scalping or skimming for data. They just, people willingly give them all this private information. So I suppose they already know it.
Yeah. We are the exception here. Like, they know they can get away with this crap because nobody cares. They don't think about what they're doing, what their data's being used behind the scenes for, because it doesn't.
People are very concerned about their security when they think that people are taking their data without their knowledge, but when people are just willingly giving their data, and that data is then being sold on in exactly the same way, people are perfectly fine with it.
Pretty much.
Okay, so just as an addendum, there's an update to that Fallout hat story. Apparently, this recall is not a new thing. The media just broke it late, but it happened it started happening in July apparently. But the current recall is just recalling the ones that were sold, of which there are 32 articles in circulation. However, apparently 20,000 were manufactured. But they sold 32.
Wow.
Very optimistic of you there, Blizzard.
Bethesda.
Yeah, Bethesda. It's all the same.
It's all the same. Alright, any other bits of news?
I have not seen anything. I think all the other posts we have in that channel from last week.
We did have...
There's some blathering about Last of Us 2 having multiplayer. And I was like, did Last of Us 1 have multiplayer? It did? What?
Oh, right, it did, didn't it? Nobody cared.
I didn't even know. It's not like anybody really cares about Last of Us 2. It's just a woke fest anyway.
Yeah. You've got little bits and pieces coming out about the next expansion of Final Fantasy XIV, or the next patch, rather. Apparently, Yoko Taro is writing a good chunk of the next chunk of the story.
He's writing the 24-man Alliance raid.
Yes.
This was announced like at the time that Shadowbringers was announced. This isn't news. And it's just all following on the schedule. So that's all to be expected. But I don't really understand how they're going to mesh the stories together. That's a little bit bewildering to me.
Essentially, this 24-person raid is a crossover between Nier Automata, and Final Fantasy. And the main story of Final Fantasy apparently goes through this crossover somehow.
Yeah, I mean the reality is that there are multiple worlds already established in FF14 lore. Yes. In fact, there's a fixed number of them that have particular cosmological orientations and balances, and so it's easy to draft another world in if necessary.
There's a bunch of others that are just kind of tacked on there because reasons as well, like the Monster Hunter world.
Yeah, and Final Fantasy 11.
And Final Fantasy 11. Because you get that, what's her name? The little evil witch comes across for the Halloween events sometimes.
Yeah, Shintoto.
Shantoto, that's the one. So yeah, you've got the Nier crossover. You've also got the restoration of Ishgard, which is 2 expansions late.
Well, I mean, they went through a couple of wars.
They did.
There's a lot of work to do.
The Warrior of Light kind of goes off and does their own thing for a while. And there is a new Extreme Trial, which I don't believe it actually says what you're fighting in it.
It probably would be spoilers anyway.
Yeah, it probably would.
Like, I'm not even up to Shadowbringers yet.
Yeah.
Because I'm waiting for these other chumps who then abandoned me to do other things. So.
I keep getting distracted by shiny things and work.
So I'm still cute. I'm still in. I've still got the City of Scala waiting on my story quest list to complete the Mad King's Trove. And Drowned City of Scala is like a post Stormblood main story quest dungeon.
Well,
so I'm going to be waiting a while.
I was
at least I'm
working
50 something.
I was working on the main storyline, and I got through the final couple of dungeons of Heavenswood, and yeah, the processing plant run, I had a tank who was punning the entire time.
Fabulous.
I approve this guy. This guy deserves a medal.
But then I
was
watching
too many of Mystics videos.
Yes. But then I was walking through to Foundation, and here is a quest that is talking about gentlemen.
Oh, I see.
So, yeah, Hildebrand
and you became
happened.
distracted.
Very distracted. Extremely distracted. Hildebrand just does that.
I was cruising along, leveling up pretty good, and then a whole day at max level disappeared to Hildebrand.
Yeah.
Like, the one day I had free time that week, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to play all day away, Hildebrand.
And yeah, you were right, actually, Paul. The first time you encounter Hildebrand in the base in Realm Reborn, Warrior of Light's just kind of getting blown along with the absolute confusion, but come at Heavenswood, Warrior of Light knows what's going on and is not above giving things a poke in the wrong direction.
Yeah, it's Stockholm Syndrome at that point.
Yeah. Just the way...
But you get to see the Inquisitor. The Inquisitor is now in the shoes of the Warrior of Light.
Yeah.
And he doesn't know which way is up.
Yeah. So, because I'm playing as one of the Lion Men now, my character has an extremely good smug face, and that face seems to be stuck on him the entire time he looks at the Inquisitor character now. He's going to say, oh yeah, I know what's going on. And no, it doesn't make any sense.
Did you complete the whole storyline?
I've still got to go and do the last little bit.
Right, so you've seen like Hildebrand becoming a proud parent and those old people.
The re-emergence of Godbert and his overhaul of the puppet. It says that I've just watched a crossover between Hildebrand and Mr. Face.
Yeah.
And yes, everyone who knows what I'm talking about has just had their brains scream. If you want to know what that is, look up Mr. Face Final Fantasy 14.
Or better yet, for your sanity, don't.
Yeah, better yet, just don't. So anyway, do we have anything else?
Well, lots of people are whinging about Code Vein. Well, I say people, well, they aren't really people, they're games journalists. Mainstream games journalists at that. There's not really much to say on this topic other than mainstream games journalism is very anti-boobies.
It's extremely anti-boobies.
I'm very anti-difficulty.
And I managed to sneak it into another show.
Yes, yes, you did.
I was trying to rescue us, Paul. I saw it. I'm like, oh no, bouncy here. We gotta drag this somewhere. No, you just had to point it out.
Yeah, it was going to happen.
Well, it's just another thing to double underline in reading the fact that mainstream games journalism is an ideological organ now and has nothing to do with video games. Yeah. Like, this is not something that really even is worthy of discussion. This is like I said in our Discord. Like, Code Vein is a game for fan service. It is about edgy Chunibyo gothic stuff with vampires and anime girls. Like that's what the game is for. That's what it's for. That's the whole reason it exists.
The fact that it's hacked off the game journalist for non-reasons, like it has anime boobies and it's hard, and that 7.0 on Metacritic actually encourages me to go get it. Because I know the mainstream game journalist's taste is so alien compared to mine that if they gave it that score, that means they couldn't find anything technically wrong with it, and it just upset their ideological sensibilities, and I should probably check it out.
Yeah, I've heard that it's fairly average. It's got its issues. The story is pretty much, the typical anime pap. It's not that great, but yeah, it looks cool and flashy, and honestly, cool and flashy is all that I look for in a game for the most part. But yeah, it's got a high boobies quotient, and that makes people unhappy. Well, not people, games journalists. But yeah, then that seems to be the entire thrust of media's collective opinion on the game, is just that it's objectification, and then the soy quotient just shoots off the charts, and it's ridiculous. But yeah, if it was Team Flat as Justice making the game instead of Team Boobies making the game, they would find similar things to complain about. They'd say, "Oh, this is a game for pedophiles." But yeah, so there's no winning. They're just looking to complain about games. Like, the more likely it is that the average game will like a game, the more important it is for them to find a reason why it makes those people evil.
That's provided, of course, it's not a AAA studio with lots of money.
Oh yeah, I mean, you can buy accolades from them if you really want to, but I think most of the big studios are starting to realize that there's no percentage in that because nobody listens to them anymore.
Mm-hmm.
The only people they listen to is each other. And that still has dollar value. You can do things with that, like the massaging the early Metacritic score is still something that has its uses, unfortunately. So sometimes you do need to bump that up a bit, which is why you saw things like Gearbox making sure that only people likely to improve the Metacritic score got early copies, so the day one Metacritic score was high. But because apparently there are people who look at that and think it's important for some reason.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think that there's a single person anywhere on Earth who was interested in Code Vein and then decided not to buy it because a games journalist told them that there are female characters with big boobies. Like, that person doesn't exist anywhere. They just don't. I'm sorry.
I mean,
There's nobody who's into this particular style of anime to begin with who is offended by boobs.
You'll see people claim that they decided not to buy it off because they heard there had big boobies in it, but there's a caveat here. They weren't going to buy it in the first place.
Yeah, these are people that don't own a PC or a gaming console. They just have a MacBook. Like, that's all. They weren't going to buy this game. They don't have a system to play it on. The only thing they do is sit in Starbucks all day tinkering away on their iPad.
But my novel.
Yeah, that novel. Or depending, if you're on the West Coast, it might be a screenplay.
Oh yes, could be a screenplay.
Because everyone in California thinks they're going to sell a screenplay.
Yeah, New York is the home of failed businessmen and writers. California is the failed coast of actors and directors and screenplay writers.
It's failure everywhere.
Just don't go to New York or Cali.
Yeah,
I'm still interested in all. If I can help it.
I'm still interested in playing Code Vein, but I looked at the pre-order form for it and I'm like, you know what? I'm not actually going to have any vision when this comes out. So I won't be able to play it even if I do get it first thing. So yeah, I'm not going to bother. I've got a badillion other things that want to be played right now. And while I think it looks cool, it's something that I'm going to have to dedicate a lot of time to because I'm bad at video, generally speaking.
Mm-hmm.
The stretches of video I'm actually capable of playing well are very, very narrow indeed, and that genre is not one of them. So it'll be hard work to play.
Could be worse. You could be a games journalist.
So I would need to have time ahead of me to focus on it to make it worthwhile.
It's also in the middle of this too many games blob that we want to play.
Yes, there's a lot of that going on at the moment.
Well, the thing is that while Code Vein interests me from an aesthetic perspective,
Edge.
Monster Hunter has earned my interest. Like it's earned it. It's paid off over time, and the same applies to Final Fantasy 14. Like I've played those games and loved them for a long time, and they've given me a huge dollop of new content, and I already know what I'm paying for at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a safer proposition all round.
Yeah, we just have hit a wall where, you can play when we quit playing Final Fantasy 14, but we saw this wall coming, and we commented on it that it was coming before the wall hit. We knew there were a bunch of games coming right around the corner that everybody was going to want to play, and we were all going to want to try and get some time with all of them.
Yeah. Oh, and for me, the list is even longer because both Dragonstar Vanilla and Crystar are both coming out around now as well, and I won't have time to play those. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff on my plate.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a thing.
Like I've got the Spyro trilogy sitting here. I pulled out of a bargain bin a few weeks ago. I still haven't gotten around to playing that.
Spyro. I could never bring myself to play it. It was just by the time Spyro was a thing, Spyro was already like pure cringe for me.
Oh,
Yeah.
you were at that.
Like I was at the exact age where I wasn't old enough to get over the fact that it was cringe, and I wasn't young enough not to find it cringe. And that sort of left its mark. So it's like, purple skateboarding baby dragons are just not cool.
Yeah.
In fact, nothing on a skateboard is ever cool.
No, it's not.
He's only on a skateboard in the third game. But yeah, just don't keep your console on the whole time you're playing it. When you're playing the third game, because holy crap, the guys that did that third game don't know what optimization is. You need to reset your PS4 once every 2 hours ish, or you'll start losing frames.
That's okay. I think I've still got to download.
Lift off into the
game.
stratosphere.
Yeah, you need to make sure that game don't keep running for too long when you're playing Spyro 3, because the remaster of Spyro 3, it's got some shoes.
It's
Or
got
like
some
Ari,
shoes.
you'll need to find a new console.
Yeah,
A system.
yeah. Oh, before I forget, I do want to bring up a book since we were playing Monster Hunter. While I was playing Monster Hunter, I was listening to Monster Hunter because the
other
new
Monster
number
Hunter.
2 in the series. The Larry Correa book did come out.
I've actually dove into whichever the first real Julie heavy book is.
Yeah, I forget what events happen specifically in the older books. I should re-listen at some point.
Here we
But
are. Guardian.
so that's this book. That's the latest one.
Is it? I thought
And
there was one more.
no, this is the latest one in the numbered series. Is Guardian. It happens while Owen's off
Oh, yeah.
with the rest of the team doing the thing, and with the big mission against the Eldritch Abomination right now. So while that's going on, we get a Julie POV book, which I didn't see coming. Really, I guess it wasn't unexpected, but it wasn't expected.
Yeah.
So we got, how there are stories of a boy and his something. This is a mom and her Mr. Trash Bags. Mr. Trash Bags is a Shoggoth, a blob monster.
Because of events that happened in a previous book, Mr. Shoggoth, Mr. Trashbags is no longer a huge, hulking mass of eyeballs and slime.
He's now a tiny, hulking mass of eyeballs and slime.
Yes. And it's adorable.
Cuddle bunnies, cuddle bunny. Mr. Trash Bag, save cuddle bunnies, cuddle bunny.
I'm going through the audiobook actually, and the lady who
same.
does it doesn't have a huge range for her voices, but she still makes an effort for Mr. Trashbags.
She's really bad with male voices, you'll find,
Yeah.
but she does okay with the girls, and she does. And I love her Mr. Trash Bag's voice. She has the best Mr. Trash Bag's voice.
Yeah.
So, as usual, we've pimped Larry Correa before, and I'll pimp him again with this book. It is not his best or his worst writing. It's stock standard Larry Correa material. But if you just need something to kill monsters too, what better than a book called Monster Hunter?
Yeah. Admittedly, Julie hasn't had really her big opportunity to have her roaring rampage at some point. Usually it's Owen who does, because he's the main protagonist, but it's nice to see another character get their moment in the spotlight. Like, when Frank's had his rampage, Yeah.
Yeah. I liked the Earl Harbinger book. I did not like the point of view switch. I don't like when that happens mid-series for any series
Yep.
to third person, but he's doing it first person from from Julie's perspective in this
Yeah.
book. And a lot of the book, my biggest complaint with the book is I don't think Larry Correia, even more so than most guys, doesn't understand girls. And he just understands the mommy instinct because he made Julie a mom.
Well, that's why he's got that co-writer in there now.
Yeah,
help him
he
with
got that
that.
girl to help him. But he still clearly doesn't quite get it. Because something just doesn't feel right with his writing of how Julie thinks. It feels like a guy who has sporadic fits about her baby. Because they've been kidnapped and her and Mr. Trashbags need to go save him.
Well, I suppose, to be fair, considering the life that Julie leads, it's always just her guns, her monster killing her.
Yeah, it kinda, but it seems a little weird. It's not too off-putting. It's just something I noticed while reading it.
Hang on, that doesn't sound right.
Like, I'm pretty sure a girl wouldn't think like that. But it's a thing.
Yeah, this is a
yeah.
girl who has a moment of mourning for her AK.
Yeah, that is true. So it's a good book. It's not, but it's good background noise and a decent story if you need something to listen to while you're going through stuff.
Yeah,
not as good as the Franks book, anywhere close to it. The Franks book was his best book, but
the Franks book was just intense. It was great.
I love the Agent Franks book so much.
Which is Nemesis.
Yep. That was probably the best one when I look back at the series in retrospect.
Yeah, I did not like Alpha particularly much.
I didn't like Alpha either. I liked a lot of the stuff it set up. I like what it did with Harbinger's character, but the POV shift and telling the story about Earl instead of following it through Owen's eyes, I get why he did it now that we have more books in the series and I've gotten through Alpha, but It just was really jarring, especially listening to it in an audiobook form.
There's a lot of stuff that, as a character, Owen's just not privy to, so it makes a lot of sense. He's also kind of dense about a lot of things.
Just if you're doing a book series and you start it in first person, keep it in first person. If you start it in third person, keep it in third person. Don't flip flop. That's my biggest complaint with Larry Correia's writing.
Yeah.
Speaking of books, when's the next Dresden coming out?
It's been sent off to the editors. It's out of his hands. He's done writing it.
Yay!
So it's just an editorial hell. Still.
Yeah.
Still.
So it's actually written this time.
Let me see. Oh wow, he's actually got a figurine of Molly. That's kind of cool, actually. That's really cool.
Yeah, he.
Let me see. No, that's appearances. Stop appearing, Jim Butcher.
This is like George R.R. Martin syndrome.
The Reddit had a big post that said it was done a month and a half, 2 months ago.
Yeah, I'm just picking through his website at the moment, but he doesn't seem to have a release
until the editing.
at the moment.
Yes, no release date. So it's coming.
Just like the end of Game of Thrones.
Yeah. Well, at least we know he wrote this one and it's done. He was giving us chapter by chapter updates as he finished them because he knew the fans were starting to lose their minds.
Yeah.
James Marsters said he's excited because he wants to read Dresden again.
He's probably one of the biggest fans going, let's face it.
I don't actually know how much Marsters likes Dresden.
Let's see. I'm seeing if there's anything new.
He has expressed interest. He's brought it up before at panels unprompted, so I assume he at least enjoys his time doing it.
Oh, yeah. Is there anything on the Twitters that I can get to him? No. So, yeah, there's...
No, but...
It's just all in the publisher's hands at the moment.
Yeah, he apparently got divorced, had his dog die, moved houses. Typical train of excuses for somebody not doing their job. And so he didn't do his job for 2 years, and now he's back to doing his job.
Yay. All right. We should start wrapping up then.
Yep.
All right.
So that's all I had. Y'all have anything else?
Nope.
Not really.
All right. Email topic of the week is Mr. Trashbags the best Chuggeth name or not?
Trick question. Yes.
Yes. All right, folks. I think we are pretty much done. We will see y'all next week, hopefully with some news and some more weeks to talk about. Hey, yeah.
Oh dear.
I'm yawning nonstop.
Stop
It's
that.
driving me nuts. I'm not even really tired. I just can't stop yawning. But, yep, I guess we'll see y'all next week, folks. Sayonara. Bye-bye.